George Lucas is returning to Star Wars. Every other week, there's an article or video by someone who claims they have inside information about George returning to the franchise. Usually it's a website like We've Got This Covered, Mike Zero, Overlord DVD, prophesizing about how George is returning to the galaxy far, far away, with clickbait titles and absolutely zero sources for their claims. Sometimes it's a slightly more reputable media source that runs with the story of Filoni's Jedi Master returning to the franchise. Every time, though, it ends up being just another false story, giving us false hope. If George ever really does return, it's going to be difficult for fans to believe it, even if it comes from big media outlets. The boys have cried wolf way too many times. The clickbait wars have begun. Now, this is partly the fault of Lucasfilm. Many YouTube channels and websites rely on Star Wars news to create content. Go too long without something Star Wars and the algorithm gods send a plague and wipe out all the hard work you put in over the years. So creators need something Star Wars to talk about. On May the 4th this year, Disney had a great opportunity to give Star Wars content creators some material to work with. A sizzle reel for Andor, a photo of Obi-Wan, or maybe even just confirmation that there is in fact a Battlefront 3 in the works. Anything would have done. Anything would have given Star Wars influencers something to talk about. Instead, they're left grasping at straws, trying to figure out anything to make content about. In many cases, it's just people making stuff up. Other times, it's them using irreputable sources and just running with the story. Many times a story from We've Got This Covered will be used as an excuse for some legitimate content creators to make a video or write an article based on complete and utter bullshit. But then again, it's really hard to fault Star Wars content creators for getting desperate and letting their headlines dictate their story. If only they could get the viewer or reader to click the link, then they could keep them there by being entertaining. Truthful reporting be damned. The truth is, not everybody is able to dive deep into the philosophical side of Star Wars like Alan from Generation Tech, or tell a story as well as Thor Skywalker, or have the desire to dig as deep into the lore as Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained. Some Star Wars content creators rely on news and giving their take on said news. So when there's nothing to talk or write about, they have to make stuff up or run on a story that is less than speculatory. So where's this specific video going? Is there a point? Truly, my intent was to talk about Star Wars content in general. Not many other franchises have such a wide range of fans, with such a wide range of interest when it comes to the franchise. We have our lore junkies. We have our speculative and theory nerds. We have our geeks that want to spend all night talking about whether a gray Jedi is actually a thing. For some who love speculation, Mike Zero and Overlord DVD videos won't come off as clickbait, no matter how asinine the speculation is. Those fans click the video and those fans get exactly the content they were looking for. For others, just the sight of one of those gentlemen's videos being on their home screen would make them question just what they've been watching that would make the algorithm gods suggest such filth. The truth is that the term clickbait is hella overused. Sometimes a good video title or headline is just that. Newspaper editors have paid people handsomely for well over a century to write headlines that get people to buy their papers and read their articles. That is the purpose, the reason for headlines, titles, and now thumbnails to exist. When it's clickbait is when the consumer, be it reader or viewer, does not get out of the content what they were looking for when they saw the title or headline. In some ways, something being clickbait is subjective, up to the interpretation of the person that's consuming the media. Nothing is objectively clickbait. I would say there are plenty of content creators that the majority of people would consider clickbait peddlers. My whole point of this video is twofold. First, I think it's very important for people to put a little bit more thought into something before they decide to label it for themselves. Question whether that really intriguing video title is clickbait, or was it just a really clever title that made you at least think about clicking? My second point is to talk about Star Wars fandom, especially in this lull in Star Wars news. I think it's just fine to call out content creators who just make up news in the pursuit of views. I think we need to be a little bit more lenient with the creators who are speculating because that's the closest thing that they have to news. I want to leave you with this final thought. In YouTube, what is and isn't clickbait is determined by the viewer and whether or not the content delivers upon the promise of its title. My title, Star Wars Clickbait. What was your expectation? Did it deliver? Was this whole video about clickbait? Nothing but clickbait?